What would you do if one day you knew that the world was about to end in 30 days? How would you spend that remaining time? And how would this revelation make you feel about the choices you've made up until this point? But most importantly, are you still a virgin? What up guys, Hachi here, and I don't know how to write intros. The Day I Became a God, a story hated and despised to the point that the author had to delete all of his social media accounts the same day the last episode aired. And later, while reminiscing about the years before his return to the internet, he would state that the backlash and many death threats he received during that time resulted in him considering hanging himself. But what is this anime about? And what did it do so wrong to warrant such a reaction from fans? This is the legendary writer Jun Maeda's final original anime title he ever wrote, and why I believe this show didn't deserve the hate it received. This is Studio Key's most hated anime. For anyone confused or in the dark on who Jun Maeda is, he is the author and songwriter to classics such as Clannad, Air, Angel Beats, and Canon. Other than a few original anime titles, he mainly worked as a visual novel author at the now famous studio that he founded known as Visual Arts Studio Key. As you probably know, almost all of his works are now considered as modern-day classics, and he is known in the anime community as the master tearjerker.
Yeah, boy.
So as a man with such a high reputation, when a new anime original series was announced, people were no less expecting him to create another beautifully inspiring work, specifically tailored with the side effects such as loss of bodily fluids, touching grass,
What the fuck?
and weeks of chronic depression. So when he marketed it as the saddest story he had ever written, the standards and expectations for the show were obviously enormous. But unfortunately, this was kind of a mistake on his part. The anime simply could not live up to the expectations of fans and failed to even break a 7 on my anime list, which is 4 digits higher than X-Arm and 1 digit less than SAO Ordinal Scale. What I'm trying to say is that Rent-A-Girlfriend is rated higher. So yeah, things are not looking good. To explain why I don't think TDI Bag deserves getting slapped with such a low rating, I will have to dip my balls deep into spoiler material, so leave here if you don't want to get exposed. The Day I Became a God begins with our slightly below average IQ main character, Yuta, playing a harmless game of getting sweaty with the boys while trying really hard to infiltrate each other's holes without consent. In other words, basketball. Out of nowhere, this pink-haired girl by the name of Hina shows up and claims to be the god Odin from Norse mythology. What? Did you forget this is anime? What part about this illustration doesn't scream gender-swapped 7th grader? Curious how Odin's wife felt about all this. Supposedly she possesses the power of omniscience, and Yuta, being naturally skeptical, just passes her off as having brain damage. She then proceeds to prove to him in various nonsensical ways that she can, to some extent, predict the future or know certain facts about the MC that she definitely shouldn't have known if she were a normal human. For instance, she's able to predict the outcome to horse races, the weather, how many times I took a shit today, and even when my channel would hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. You get the point. Anyways, Hina then offers to use her knowledge to help him become his crush's perfect man, and the first thing she reveals about Izanami is that her favorite sport was actually baseball, not basketball, which was kind of the whole reason he started playing that sport to begin with. But all is not wrong in the world, since Yuta did manage to get himself a handsome homie out of it, so I'm not complaining. Maybe basketball can't bring you the hose of your dreams, but it might be able to bring you the balls of your dreams. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. Hina sets up a baseball game with his school's team against just the MC. Not sure how she was able to organize this, but the anime just encourages us not to think too hard. This is all an elaborate plan to make his childhood friend fall for him by somehow impressing her with his non-existent batting skills, which, you know, is exactly how you'd expect it to.
The worst he can say is no, right?
Yeah.
イザナミさん
何
付き合ってください届け僕のこの
ごめんなさい
Yeah, that's probably going to leave an emotional scar. But then it doesn't, and after an episode of sulking, he's fully recovered and is back in the game for round 2, boys. We can all learn a thing or two from Yuta's notebook. Never give up, even if she tells you no multiple times. Hashtag restraining order. Hina then explains that it doesn't matter that he got rejected, since the world is going to end in 30 days anyway. And yeah, so now she's living with him.
Why? Unclear. That works. Yeah.
From here, you'd expect the next few episodes to really dive into this whole world-ending premise. I mean, besides the failed confession, she's proved that she has some sort of supernatural powers, so logically, if she says the world's going to end, then, you know, you should at least take her somewhat seriously. But no. Instead, the characters are just like,
nah, it'll be fine.
The humor over the next couple of episodes actually made me laugh audibly, with most of the jokes hitting, and all of the pop culture references that they made were actually pretty well thought out.
イザナミさんイザナミさん
何
One of the highlights was episode 4, where the protagonist is forced by Hina to play a game of mahjong in an official tournament without ever having known any of the rules prior to said tournament. So what do you do when you don't know the rules to a game and you're being live streamed to half the country? You make them the hell up. This whole episode made zero sense to me because, well, I don't know shit about Japanese matching games, but somehow it didn't need to make sense for me to be invested. The people in charge of the tournament more or less have this to say about the whole situation. Hey, he's that's illegal. He's breaking the rules. We can't have that. No, he's taking creative liberties, that's all. You're just saying that because you think he's hot. Yes, but he's also creative. Sorry, what does that have to do? So let's make a rule that from now on, he cannot follow any rules. But ma'am, how is that fair? Every move he makes, he will have to make the up. Also, I'm wet. What? And so he wins, because, well, he cheated. And then we got this special scene.
君の麻雀見ながら飲みたいな。無限リーチ見たいな。そうだ。ねえ、今から私の部屋来ない？
いやいやいや、あなたはあの天眼過去でしょ。
そうよ。
テレビとかいっぱい出てる。
そうよ。いけない？
First things first. Smash. On a completely different note, the protagonist's younger sister says some sort of VTuber catchphrase every sentence in Japanese, but the English translation translates it to
like in like talking stages, and it's just like you're like labeled that, and it's like people like are considered like you can't like you're just like confused.
I mean, it didn't bother me, and I really liked the sister for no particular reason that concerns you, but apparently this pissed some people off because this is somehow racism against Gen Zs or something. To each their own, I guess. Episode 5 had me tearing out the tissues, except this time they were used for my eyes. Izunami, Yuta's childhood friend and crush, whose mother died when she was young, like in every other anime, except this time she actually acts like someone died. And her dad, who basically locked himself inside of his house, practically never leaving for over 5 years straight. Not gonna lie, I'm impressed. Throughout this episode, the characters manage to break him out of his hole and bring him outside to touch some grass. Together, they have lunch about 4 times in total, and all is well and good until he eats some Swiss cuisine, reminding him of the stomach aches his wife's cooking used to give him. Through a bit of perfectly legal impersonating, the two main characters manage to get Izunami and her dad to watch some tapes that the mother had made for her daughter's birthdays until she turned 18. I won't spoil what happens next, but this episode hit unusually hard for me. Not because I think moms are hot, but because this involved necrophilia. I'm kidding. But seriously, this scene made me bawl my eyes out. 10 out of 10 episode. Also, can I point out how refreshing it is to have a main character who doesn't have mommy and daddy issues? Having a protagonist with both parents still alive is almost extinct nowadays. But on top of this, they have a good relationship, and the dad isn't working overseas indefinitely. What is this? Realistic or something? Actually, no, I take that back. Now, this whole time there's been a side plot going on in the background that follows this hacker kid named Suzuki, who's being forced by a random corporation to try and dig up a secret project of a now deceased neuroscientist. As each episode progresses, they slowly uncover the truth of the matter, and by episode 9, are able to uncover what he was hiding in his basement. And to no one's surprise, they discover that he was hiding a minor. Hina had been abandoned by her parents because she was diagnosed with an incurable disease called Logos, which over time makes you more and more paralyzed until it kills you. The scientist was able to design a supercomputer that could be implanted in your brain as a chip, which allowed Hina to access all the internet's information and the ability to calculate anything to an almost infinite rate, hence the omniscience. This information gets passed on to the United Nations, who are like, that's too powerful for any mortal man to wield. So should we destroy it? What are you talking about? We want it. For research purposes, of course. And then she is promptly abducted. Remember that thing at the beginning where Hina says that the world is going to end? Well, the twist was the world wasn't going to end. Just hers, figuratively. Months pass, and the characters did everything they could to try and get Hina back, but with no results. Meanwhile, Yuta becomes depressed, and starts to question whether all the effort he put getting into college for the sake of being with his crush was really worth it. Maybe being maidenless wasn't such a bad thing after all. Until Suzuki approaches Yuta for no particular reason and attempts to jumpstart a conversation. Do you have a girlfriend? No, not exactly. I know, so if it makes you feel any better, you can have my number. But I don't want your number. Too late, it's already in your contacts. What do you want from me? I want to hang out, play some basketball, go to a ramen shop, watch a movie together. But I don't wanna. Fine, I'll just visit your girlfriend. Now how do you feel? I think I've come to the realization that flies might actually enjoy eating shit. Oh my fucking gosh. Slowly, the characters start to recreate the major events of that summer they had spent together with the girl who claimed to be God. But even though all of these clues were right in his face, Yuta never catches on until Suzuki decided he had had enough and breaks up with him. Finally, the MC realizes what he was trying to tell him, and thankfully he wasn't too late. Suzuki tells him that Hina was taken to a hospital in a secluded area, and that the chip in her head that allowed her to walk and talk normally had been removed. Now you may be wondering, why did he wait all this time to tell the MC this? The answer is, and you'll never see this coming, there's apparently something written in between the lines about not being able to tell the MC unless Yuta figured it out for himself that the hacker kid was involved with the project. Which is like, what? I'm trying to picture the conversation he had with his boss about this. No matter what, you cannot divulge any information to any outside party, unless someone directly asks you about it, and then we're f***ed. The plan now is to get the protagonist into the hospital as if he were a licensed professional, become Hina's legal guardian, and then bring her back with him. The issue is that he only has 2 weeks until they find out that his identification is fake, and also he has to get the consent of a mentally handicapped middle schooler who can barely talk and who has a morbid fear of men. The next few episodes are some of the hardest episodes I've had to watch of any show I've ever seen, with the exception for maybe that one ReZero episode in the capital and all of Mirai Nikki. Yota tries to get Hina to open up to him, but she doesn't seem to remember him and won't even look him in the eyes. Basically any loud noise or fast movement could scare her, and this whole arc just hurts to watch. Yota tries everything he can think of, even ordering a TV and console to try and get her to open up to him, and then one day the security catches on to him and he is forced to leave the facility. But at the last minute, this happens. The two are reunited, and somehow he's allowed to bring Hina home with him, even though he just committed a few minor crimes, but hey, let him go because the story needs to end. Anyways, the series finishes with Yuta promising to find a cure for Hina's disease, and the credits roll. Okay, rant time. It's a bittersweet and safe ending. Did Yuta find a cure for the Logos disease in the future? And if not, how long did Hina live after the end of the series? These questions are left completely unanswered. Maybe not the ending I wanted or expected, but one that left us with the hope of the characters' futures. So why did people hate this anime? Well, there are a lot of reasons, some of which you've probably picked up on already. The first is that the show steered away from what the premise seemed to have promised us at the beginning of episode 1. People wanted to see the series delve into the question, what would you do with the time left if the world was about to end? But instead, nothing really changed with this revelation, since there was very little in their lives the characters wanted different. Still, this is not what people wanted to see, and left a lot of the viewers disappointed. The next complaint has to do with the ending. People thought that the MC was just being unbelievably stupid in the last couple of episodes, but what you have to understand is that he was desperate. He had a time limit, and the pressure of being found out was always in the back of his mind. He's also not a licensed professional, so yeah, he did some dumb shit, but it's so easy to say, well, if I was there, I could have done it better. Watching him fumble so badly was one of the reasons that made those episodes so hard to watch. But like a lot of things we hate when we see them in others, it's painful because it's relatable. We've all been in a similar scenario where we weren't able to deliver when others depended on us the most. Other things like the fact that he needed Hina's consent, or why this guy got the conclusion to his character arc off screen, or why was this hacking sequence used with a fish. Okay, that last one is actually a reference to a whole lot of stuff that I'm not going to go into, so if you know, you know. But the main issue is that this show just wasn't that sad. The ending just isn't everyone's cup of tea, and I get that. Some people utterly despised it, as we have previously seen. But even though it's not the ending I had imagined, I can't make myself hate it, and in fact, I don't think it's bad at all. It's a different ending, with a different message. Despite all the dissing I've done on this anime, The Day I Became a God is still an introspective story, centered around family, dealing with loss, abandonment, and why you should cherish the people put into your lives, broken or not, because we will never truly know how much time we have left with them. It's not perfect by any means, but the more that I've explored the medium of anime, I've come to learn that a show doesn't need to be perfect for it to leave a lasting impact. Despite its inconsistencies, the fast pacing, and the lack of used potential, this show still managed to make me emotional, and this is why I loved Key's most hated anime.
She's fucking with my a couple L's this week. It's been hard to get out of bed. She never looked that way at me. I swear she's fucking with my head. Take me for